Hi, everyone, and welcome to the KSU College of Computing and Software Engineering Office of the Dean Fireside Chat Series. We have with us today Billy Harbinson, Director of Innovation at GoStudio and Income Payments. So thank you, Billy, for taking some time to spend with us today and talk about innovation. I know that KSU CCSE has partnered in many ways throughout the years through hackathons and capstones, and we even have some students that are interning with you. And I remember when GoStudio was created at Income Payments, and I'm really impressed with all the projects that you've done in so many different verticals. So obviously, Innovation Hub is working for Income Payments. So can you provide some insight into why a company might consider creating an innovation hub?
Sure, thank you for having me. There are a lot of companies that are very innovative and they are very successful at innovating in their markets and in their existing products. Corporate innovation hubs are purpose-built to find new ways to do things, new paths to value. A product manager in an existing product isn't necessarily one that will say, let's not build this thing or let's pivot to an entirely new space. They were hired to build a product and that's what they're doing. They're building a roadmap and features and that's what they're doing. Corporate innovation helps chart a path to value in new and unexpected places that aren't necessarily bolted onto the existing products. I've done lots of work with startups over the years, and one of the things I've always found really fascinating is that a startup is really able to pivot their entire company if they find a new value stream and a new way to make money. Existing corporations can't just up and pivot on a dime to some new fancy use case. Corporate innovation can help test and learn along those different paths and help chart a path and a strategy to longer pivots, which need to move an entire established company, like digital transformation or the move to the cloud, both of which I worked on 10 years ago. Those are the things companies are working on today, longer planned pivots.
So having an innovation hub and being in search of an idea is really great. How does partnering with universities like KSU help GoStudio bring value to GoStudio?
I've been fortunate to work with many universities and groups of college students in my career. The first decade of my career, I worked at a university and managed and mentored students in their junior and senior year, just as they were about to enter the workforce. What I've learned in the decade of doing innovation work is the primary tool out of my toolbox is to find diverse perspectives, diverse points of view, diverse sets of experiences. If I put together a group of people who come from a similar background and have the exact same experiences in their life, then we get the same kind of ideas. And so to be a true innovator is to find a diverse set of experiences and let those voices have ideas and come up with really great new concepts. One of the things we do with the KSU capstone is we ask the students to work on brand new things. We don't give them a slice of a project that we already have running and just have them complete that project. We give them some greenfield in a problem space and say, hey, tell us what we haven't considered. Your students have a different experience with technology and the economy than we did when we were in college and we do today. They have a different expectation of technology and the economy. And they're entering a world that's different than the world was when I entered the workforce. And so we really do expect it and want those students to show us new paths to things that we hadn't considered at all when we were doing our internal brainstorming.
Well, I'm really excited about the partnership with GoStudio, and because of the way the college curriculum is set up, our students are inundated with assignments that are very scripted by nature, and they have to be that way. I mean, that's just the nature of academia. For the most part, there are some exceptions. However, it's so wonderful to see students working through something that is not scripted, and through your mentorship in design thinking, but really it's about learning how to innovate and to think outside the box, which I love that. So can you tell us a little bit about how you came up with that and the framework that you use and how that works?
Of course. So my favorite thing to do is to talk about innovation. So thank you for the question. Um, about 13, 14 years ago, I had one good idea, and that idea spawned a giant project and rolled into a kind of a giant win for my employer. And I got tapped to join the innovation team. And my former boss on that innovation team handed me a book and said, "You had a great idea, but now I need you to think like an innovator." And that book was an introduction to design thinking. And it broke my brain in a lot of really interesting and important ways because it taught me that number one, innovation doesn't happen in a silo. It's not just a smart guy in a garage building all the things that are moving the world forward. Innovation is a team sport. It's something you can practice, it's something you can learn, it's something you can teach, it's something you can get better at. And so I spent the last 13, 14 years doing design thinking kind of based on that foundational book that he handed me. One of the things that I've learned is the first most obvious idea is often not the one that ends up winning the day. And so this framework, design thinking, allows you to think outside the box to get around that first most obvious idea that a lot of people will have that idea and hold it precious. And the framework allows us to say, okay, that's great, but what other things can we try that might make that even better and make it really great? What I've been doing the past couple of years in our framework here at GoStudio is looking past the solution and looking before the solution. I've certainly been in lots of ideation sessions and brainstorms over the year where we were coming up with solutions for a problem that nobody really wanted to solve, that the world wasn't asking for, but it was on somebody's roadmap and they had a budget, so we're going to go build the thing. And so we did. But I really want to make sure that we're solving the right problems because not every company has a lot of time to go run these innovation sessions over and over and over to try lots of different solutions. We need to be narrowed in on the problem that matters. And so we are front-ending our design thinking practice with a series of dedicated sessions where we're only exploring the problem space and all the different aspects and components of that. And then we pick out the components of the problem that are really impactful in some way to the customer or to the business. And we go pull those into the design thinking session where we create innovative solutions. We're also back-ending our process with a set of futurism and futures thinking exercises because we want to make sure that we're building an informed roadmap for these innovative solutions, that we're not pinning 20 years of hopes and dreams on a product that we see is going to be disrupted in about 5. We can plan to be the disruptor or we can plan for the disruption. These are not magic tools. They are very accessible, and I love sharing them with the students at KSU and internally through our education sessions inside of InCom and GoStudio. These are very accessible tools. They're easy to learn and get started with. There are lots of books and videos on how to get started with them. But we take them and we use them as a whole process to get to the right problem that creates the right solution and builds the right strategic roadmap. And that helps us to see a full 360 on how to solve some really interesting challenges with innovative thought.
Well, it's really exciting to see everything you're doing over there and to know that KSU students may have played some part in some of those projects. So that's really a point of pride. But and coming from industry myself, I have to know that, because some of these things are not happening now, and some people may not have the vision. These things are really hard to sell to some corporate leaders. So how do you navigate around that and show them that there's value in this?
So I just published an article on my LinkedIn about this. Several years ago, I was in a startup demo day that was organized by consultants, and they had brought in 10 or 12 startups, and they were basically just pitching their companies to our company and the company executives. And midday, there's a startup pitching, and the consultant texts one of the C-suite executives from the company and says, "You need to come down and see this." He stopped what he was doing. He came down. The startup started the pitch over, And when they finished the pitch, the executive said, "That's great. You guys are doing awesome work, but it doesn't solve any of the problems I have today." He then went on for 10 minutes talking about all the problems that were fires burning at his feet. And he said, "Thank you for your time." And he left the room. The problem was the startup really was solving his problem, and all the fires he was talking about were the symptoms, the downstream issues that come from the root cause of his problem. The startup solved the problem for other companies after our meeting. He could not see a path to innovation to really solving real problems because he was so consumed by being tapped to lead a product and being tapped to fix these issues that were burning at his feet. So our framework and our process is purpose designed to help kind of isolate executives and team members from those problems, let them see path to new value, see path to possibilities, and build empathy for personas that they may not have considered as customers. And that gives them some really great insight to, I haven't considered that. There's something here, and let's go dig on that and see what we can come up with. And it's really magical to watch that light bulb come on with somebody who was very, no, we can't do this. And they see a path, they're like, wait a minute, maybe we can. And then they start to get really excited, and things really start to steamroll at that point because the frameworks allowed them to build some empathy and see their customers as humans, and to see the problems that their customers are really struggling with, and to build something great to solve those problems.
That's wonderful. I would love to be a fly on the wall to see that light bulb moment take place. I've heard so many, no, we can't do that in so many different conversations with leadership. A lot of times it's wonderful to have a way to make those yeses happen. Thank you again, Billy, for taking the time to join us today and give us some insight into innovation. And how that's working at GoStudio at Income Payments. We appreciate the strong partnership that we have with you, with KSU and our students here in the College of Computing and Software Engineering. I know that it's definitely making a difference in their lives and helping them see things in a different way. And, they might spark that next big thing. You never know.
Well, thank you for having me, and I can't wait to see what the capstone students come up with next to push us in a new and interesting direction.
And thank you all in the audience for listening. And I hope you enjoyed this session of the KSU College of Computing and Software Engineering Dean's Office Fireside Chats. And I hope you have a great day and go and innovate.